What'd you take out of the weekend's events in the college football playoffs, Bruce?
It's kind of how we thought it was at the beginning of the year. Alabama and Clemson are just better than everybody else in college football. They've recruited at a higher level. They look physically different across the board than the other teams, and that's what it showed out for all the people who were skeptical of Notre Dame. They got way more proof or evidence for them to be skeptical down the road. And I don't know if that's a good thing for college football or the Irish. And it's certainly, I think it's left people a lot of question marks about what's the best thing for college football going forward, because we're talking about expanding, and yet it just seems like right now, it's almost like the BCS era would work better, where it's just pick the two best teams. But I don't know. It's a very interesting time in the sport right now.
Well, I mean, Bruce, you brought it up, so I'll just walk through the door because I mentioned it earlier in the program. I think that this weekend actually pounds the table even better, makes my case for 8 teams getting in, because Georgia and Ohio State, when you are looking at the landscape this year, did not deserve spots based on the metrics that we measure the Final Four with in 2018, did not deserve spots over Notre Dame and Oklahoma based on the resumes. But when you open it up to 8 teams, Georgia and Ohio State certainly get in. And why couldn't they win first-round games and then meet up with Alabama and Clemson in semifinals and give us better games? I think that this shows you that it is absolutely necessary that we need 8 teams in, Bruce.
Well, I think it's necessary because at least it drops the charade of there's access for everybody who's in FBS football to have a chance to make the playoff. That's not true. Now, if you had an 8-team playoff and there was an at-large spot for a group of 5, there would be that underdog. Maybe they'd get blown out 40-14. But I think that part is positive. One thing that kind of dawned on me, this weekend, I sat at the Oklahoma, Alabama game, 28-0, and just thinking about it is, when you go to 4 teams, what it really did is I think it helps Alabama and Clemson, because those teams, they may sputter and maybe something, but just the planets align wrong where they may stumble once. But so it gives them a little margin for error where they might have not have had it in the other way. And I think at this point now, it's just like, it just feels like a foregone conclusion. That old Berman line, and that's why they play the game. It feels like, sometimes it's not playing out that way. It's just kind of what you thought it was is. And, until proven otherwise, I think that's just the reality of college football right now. Between the gap and the have a lot. It's so wide.
So what is the first blush sentiment on an 8-team format right now as we're sitting here on the last day of 2018, Bruce?
I think with Jim Delaney, the Big Ten commissioner, speaking out publicly as he did to The Athletic last week, I think that was a big step in the direction of making some change. I think eventually it's going to get that way. They have to sort out a lot of the structure of it, what it would do, the length of the season. You're not getting rid of conference championship games because, quite honestly, for the SEC, it makes so much money, and that is going to be a big bargaining chip when their deal comes up in the not too distant future. So they got, the power brokers of the sport got to figure out some stuff of the logistics of it. But I think it's inevitable, to be honest.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.